back to Harris Family Travels. My name is Heather, if you're new here. My husband is Justin, and we have a 10-year-old son named Reese. We will be traveling to Mexico, Italy, and then around the United States in the next year, or maybe a little bit longer. This video is going to be all about a big decision that we have made. That's right, we've made a decision. If you've seen the other videos that we've created, there was a lot to be determined, and there's still a lot to be determined. But I kind of had a moment of panic last week, like couldn't fall asleep till 3 a.m. moment of panic. And so the next day I said to Justin, we have to make a decision. I can't do it like this. We have to make a decision. So that day we sat down and we decided where we wanted to start. If you've watched some of the other videos, you know that we had thought about either starting in the northwest part of the country, traveling down to the southern part and ending in the northeast, or vice versa. And we would still really like to visit the northwest at some point. I had looked at lots of places: Oregon, Washington, Idaho, maybe into Montana a little bit. But we decided, since there's going to be so many things that are new, so many things that we don't know, let's start with something that feels a little bit safer. Now, another reason that I really wanted to get this whole process started was because of the fact that as I started searching for places to stay for a month at a time, I was running into some obstacles. So let's take September, for example. If I typed in September 1st through September 30th, the problem that was coming up is that, sure, a place might be available end of August or most of September, but we've got Labor Day in there, and a lot of people are like me and they've already made plans for Labor Day, and so places were not available because it had been reserved for a long weekend here or there by different people, which is obviously totally understandable, but it led me to feel like we need to get moving. So when we thought about where we wanted to start our journey, when we wanted to start our journey, all of those different factors, we looked at my spreadsheet and then we picked a place that wasn't on. It wasn't on the spreadsheet at all, but that's okay because we have it reserved. We are going to go for September, the first week of September through the first week of October, drumroll, Breckenridge, Colorado. Now, that is not exotic. That is not foreign to us. As a reminder, we live in the middle of the country. We live in Nebraska. Colorado is our neighbor. And I would say every year to 2 years, my family had traveled to Colorado. My parents have some friends there. We had just gone out. That's where my parents' honeymoon, so it holds a special place in their hearts. So we had just gone out. It's a drive. You're not probably going to go for just a long weekend. For us, living on this part of the state that we live in Nebraska, way on the eastern side of the state. But it's not undoable. It's very manageable. And so we have gone to Colorado, like I said, every year or 2 years. And then as Justin joined our family, he would come along with us. And then of course, once Reese was born, he would come along. And so it would still be my parents and my sister and her family and us. And the last 10 years or so, maybe even a bit longer, we have gone to Breckenridge specifically. It's still pretty easy to get to if we needed to do something in Denver, if there was an appointment, or we needed to see some friends that were in Colorado Springs. That made it very doable. And so Breckenridge has been a place that we've gone to quite a bit. And so as we were sitting down, as I was saying, we need to book something, I cannot handle all of this unknown. I can handle some unknown, but this was too much for me. We decided Breckenridge. Again, it feels a little bit easier to start with because we know it somewhat. We're going to come back to that. So where are we staying? Because it wasn't on my spreadsheet. We are staying in a condo, and it is a 2-bedroom condo. Now, if you've seen the other videos about where to live, I think that's actually the name of it, I had talked about wanting a 3-bedroom. Justin works remotely. That's how this whole thing is working out. And so we had talked about having 1 room as the primary bedroom, 1 room for Reese's bedroom, and then 1 room as an office, turning one of the bedrooms into an office. However, to expand our search and to make it feel a little bit more choice involved in these things, we changed the search criteria to a 2-bedroom. And this is actually a 2-bedroom, but there's a loft. Now the loft is open to the downstairs, to the main floor, specifically to the living area. So I don't know that it's going to be a great sleeping area long term. We did talk about maybe using 1 bedroom as the primary, 1 as the office, and then Reese's bedroom being the loft. And he's a pretty heavy sleeper, but I don't know. That's still to be determined. I told you there were things still to be determined, and that's one of them. So there are 2 bedrooms. There is a loft space, even if we don't use that as a bedroom. I'm hoping we have some friends and family come to visit. Friends and family, if you're watching this, we're hoping you come and visit. I will be turning 40 while we're out there, so I have said, like, come out for my birthday. Like, we'll be in Breckenridge. It will be great. Come on out. I don't know. That's kind of asking a lot for people to travel, but we do have that extra space. So yes, it's a 2-bedroom, but there's this extra space of a loft. Another big amenity for us was a swimming pool. So it pretty fancy, not super close by. It's a little bit of a walk, but in the complex area there is a pool, and it is half inside, half outside. I've been to some hotels that have pools like this, and it can kind of accommodate both warmer and a little bit cooler weather, which I think is a great idea for a place in Breckenridge, Colorado. And so I know that will be something that Reese and I will spend a lot of time doing. This past week, we had a free week pass to the YMCA, and we went swimming every single day. So I do know we'll be using that pool. There's also a variety of hot tubs. So there's one actually near our building. That's an indoor one. I think that will be great for just a quick run down to a hot tub at the end of the day. There's also several indoor and outdoor hot tubs located by the pool. So that is another fantastic amenity that I really wanted us to have, if at all possible. It wasn't absolutely necessary, but it was pretty high on my priority list. Another thing we looked for specifically in Breckenridge, once we decided to pick Breckenridge, was proximity to downtown. Now we will have our car. We will be taking my car, which is a Toyota RAV4, so it has like some space because we're gonna get there in just a second. So we will have a car available, but the places that we have stayed before have always been within walking distance of downtown. I know walking distance is relative, but you know, a couple blocks to Main Street, which is what I really wanted. So we could maybe just walk downtown some night and have dinner or something like that, and not always have to worry about getting in the car and driving places. So we've got the space, the living space, the bedroom / office space. We have the pools and hot tubs. We have proximity to downtown, and then we've got a balcony. Justin is very pro balcony, anti patio. And it does make sense. This was just something that was important to him, that we be up higher, able to kind of see out, especially in the fall. I think the trees will be just beautiful, hopefully. So being able to sit out on a patio, not necessarily be right on the ground, but kind of up a little bit higher, and being able to look out. I think the condo is on the 2nd floor, but then with that loft space, and the loft doesn't have its own patio, but we are kind of the top floor of that condo building. So we will have a patio that we can look out as well. We also have a gas fireplace, which I think is going to be top notch. We haven't had a fireplace since our first apartment together, so I'm very excited for that. Okay, here's where I need your help. You guys know that I come to you in these videos because I don't know what I'm doing, and I need you guys to help me. So first of all, with the office space, Justin requires 2 monitors to work from. Requires maybe, it is highly preferred that he has 2 monitors. He can just see so many more things at one time as he's trying to help people over the phone. He's able to have all of that information in front of him. And they're big monitors, so we're gonna need a big space. Now, when I was looking at all of the different VRBO and Airbnb spots, and this one we did get through Airbnb, if you're wondering, I touched on that in a previous video. Some of them had offices built in, but some of them didn't have an office. But as I was looking at pictures, I kind of thought, oh, that table we could transition to use as a desk, Or, oh, that dresser, I bet we could transition to use as a desk. From the pictures, this doesn't have anything that we could transition to using as a desk. Now maybe we get there and there's a table I didn't see, but it doesn't look like it. So I'm thinking, what are your thoughts? I'm thinking of taking, we have just a square card table and using that, and then just a folding chair, and seeing if that works for an office setup. It's not ideal, but I'm hoping that would give them enough space, and they both fold pretty flat because storage. So at this point we will have a folding table, a folding chair, a tote with all of the office stuff, a suitcase for us. We have a washer and dryer, so we don't need to take a ton of clothes. I can be doing laundry and staying on top of that. And then also Reese's school bag and his violin. Now, if you're more interested in the homeschool journey, stay tuned for the next video, because that is going to be my focus for them. So yes, please give me your comments about what you think would be a really good idea for this mobile office setup situation. If you're somebody who has worked away from home and you've had to set up an office, what kind of things did you find to be really helpful? Another thing that I want your help with is trails. Now, it is Colorado. I am not a huge nature person, but I will do the occasional hike. We live in Nebraska. We live in eastern Nebraska, very flat. Western Nebraska, they've got their hills, they've got their bluffs, but we live in a pretty flat space, so we don't have a lot of experience with hiking. All of us exercise in our own ways, but not specific to hiking. When we were in South Dakota a couple years ago, I found a hiking trail in one of the parks, and I said, oh, it's just a 3-mile loop, this will be no big deal. All of us felt like we were on the edge of death. So what are some great trails that you guys would recommend around the Breckenridge area? Now, with Justin's work schedule, he won't be starting work until about 9:30 in the morning. And so we might have some time, if they're close by to Breckenridge, to do a quick hike before we start our school day and he starts his work day. Otherwise, like I said, we'll have our car for some weekend, adventuring, taking you guys along, of course. So if there's something that's a little bit farther away or a little bit more involved, I would love to hear those tips too. And then inspired by that is the next question, which is, what do we need? I know we need water, because when we went on that 3-mile hike that almost killed us, we had 1 bottle of water for the 3 of us, and that was not good. It was also very hot. So what kinds of things would you recommend if you were a hiker? What kinds of things would you recommend that we wear or take along with us? I've been on I'm almost 40, maybe 10 hikes my whole life. So some of you are kind of thinking, what, 10 hikes? That was last week. Yeah, literally, that's what I do. So if you could give me some tips, I would love that. Thank you very much. Also, in terms of tips, while we're all in the same vein, let's talk about a real fun one, restaurants. Now, when we have gone out, like I said, with my family several times over the years, 95% of our food is food that we bring from home or we purchase at a grocery store there and we prepare at the condo. So I have very little experience with the restaurants in Breckenridge. I did get the rolled ice cream last time we were there, and a couple of times ago we ordered pizza and it was delicious. But if you are experienced with Breckenridge restaurants, what are some places that you would recommend for us as we venture forth? Again, most of our meals I am going to be preparing at the condo. I have a Pinterest board started. I saw that they have a crock pot, so we're gonna delve into crock pot things. I think that's just such a fall-y thing to have someone going in the crock pot all day, and sometimes Justin works a little bit later, and crock pot things, they can usually kind of sit in there for a bit longer. So that's gonna be most of it. But if it's my 40th birthday, because it's gonna be, where should we go for dinner? Or if it's a Saturday morning and it's beautiful out, what's a great place for breakfast? So all of the tips about that. So I want your tips about office setup, trails, and just general hiking advice, restaurants, and then finally events. I've done a little bit of research and I found, I think there's probably going to be an Oktoberfest. I didn't see any dates assigned to that yet. There's like a wine fest. Okay, great. But what are some other things that that are going on either in Breckenridge or around the area. And again, I think it's September 5th through October 5th that will be there. So if you have any idea for events we could do, I'd love to hear about it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can see the rest of our Harris family travels and journeys and adventures and all things exciting. We'll see you next time.